OK, right, let's get into a bit of Liverpool chat then off the back of what Vinny said there. I guess, James, there's been a lot of talk over the last few days about Liverpool perhaps needing a bit more depth at centre-back. But if we just take a step back and have a look at what they've done in this window, are they still in great shape and have had the best transfer window of any of the Premier League sides?
You could argue that because of the amount of money they've spent, the quality of players they brought in and how early they acted as well. A lot of these deals were wrapped up so early that these players have had a full pre-season with Arne Slot. Look at what they've done at left-back. They've upgraded there in the form of Milos Kerkez. They've brought in one of the most exciting young attacking players in the world in the form of Florian Wirtz, and they have found a replacement for Trent Alexander-Arnold, although a player clearly with a very different profile. I don't think you can find many players like Trent out there. We wait to see how Jeremy Frimpong gets on. And they've also signed a number 9 who they didn't really have last season because Darwin wasn't really in favour. I don't think Arne Slot really was able to get the very best of him. I don't think he was the profile striker that Slot wanted. They've got that now in the form of Hugo Ekitike, and they could maybe get another striker. There's still a bit of time left of this transfer window. But as Arne Slot has alluded to in the media already over the course of pre-season, they've lost a number of players and they've lost a huge amount of experience as well. When you look at the amount of football that Luis Diaz played last season, he played 50 times in all competitions for Liverpool. Trent and Nunez played more than 40 times across all competitions. So the starting 11 is going to look very different tomorrow night from the one that finished the Premier League season in May. So there may be a period of adaptation. And I think that's why Arne Slot is giving off quite a cautious tone, I think, in his briefings to the media so far, because there is work to do. When you look at the defence as well, I do think they're not quite at the level that he'd have hoped heading into the start of this season.
It does sound like they might not be done there as well, though, as you mentioned there, possibility of a striker coming in. I think we all know who that is. And possibly even another defender. So what would make Liverpool stronger, do you think? If they could only bring one in, Guehi or Isak?
I think when you can sign a player like Alexander Isak, it's very hard to argue that they need to sign a defender instead. But defensively, Liverpool do look a little bit uncertain. I was at the Community Shield on Sunday and they didn't quite look right at the back. And you can understand why. They've changed half of their back line because they've got 2 new fullbacks now and they've got Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahim Konate. But when you look at the bench they had at the weekend, there were no fit available centre-backs to step in. I know Slot has spoken about the likes of Endo and Andy Robertson playing at centre-back, but you look at the situation there with Joao Quanta departing in the summer, with Joe Gomez never seemingly be able to get fully fit, that there is really going to be a problem there if Konate, who's out of contract next summer, gets injured, or Virgil van Dijk gets injured. So I do think they'll be better equipped for the start of this Premier League season if they sign a central defender rather than a forward, because Liverpool are pretty well equipped if Hugo Ekitike got injured, say, because yes, there's no other natural number 9s, but the likes of Cody Gakpo could play centrally. They could find a way of working things without a central striker, though without a centre-back, I don't think you want to be going into some of the big games at the start of this season. They take on Newcastle in the second game week. They take on Arsenal in the third week of the season if you've lost Konate or Van Dijk. Hopefully that won't be the case, but you can understand why defensively there are concerns. They've kept 1 clean sheet in pre-season so far, and Arne Slot admitted on Sunday after the match that there is work to be done. And I spoke to Virgil van Dijk on Sunday, and I think there's a real feeling that there is plenty of work to be done. It's not a foregone conclusion that Liverpool will steal the march and get this second Premier League title in a row. I do think internally they know there's plenty of work to be done, and that could involve bringing in a centre-back as well as a striker.
Yeah, it's not an easy start either, is it? A reminder of the Friday night football to kick us off.
Until he's out of contract next summer, of course, as well. So what are Arne Slot's thoughts on potentially adding 2 centre-halves to his squad? Only a week after he kind of talked down the need to add in that position. Let's just say he was less forthcoming about Mark Guehi than he was about Leone when I spoke to him earlier this morning.
He hasn't signed for us yet, so the moment when he signs for us, I can go into more detail, and the other one is, of course, the answer you always get from me.
Are you able to talk about that a little bit more broadly, though, and say what expectation you have of possibly getting hold of Mark Guehi?
No. No, because he's not our player, and unfortunately he was the captain of the team where we lost against last Sunday. So no, if you want to have any talks about him, you should go to Palace, to Glasner, and ask him his opinion about him.
He's very honest, isn't he, honest? So I love the way he just shut you down there, Vinny, with just a straight, no, I'm not going to carry on with that, but with a smile on his face always. What about the mood in general then? Because, you know, Liverpool begin their defence live on Sky Sports tomorrow night against Bournemouth. Really exciting game. What's the mood like in the camp?
Yeah, he's always very polite, Arne Slot, and I think he gave away the mood in the camp as well. It's all pretty positive, despite that disappointment against Crystal Palace in the Community Shield as well. It's been obviously a summer where they've brought in new faces, but they've also lost a lot of regular starters from last season as well. And obviously, Arne Slot is looking to build on the success of last season now. But looking at the preparations throughout this summer, at various points they've been without the likes of Virgil van Dijk, just recovering from illness, of course. Alisson was missing for a couple of pre-season games due to personal reasons. McAllister has been getting his way back to full fitness. On top of that, of course, they've been looking to integrate the new players into the team. So those kind of complications, I suppose, don't necessarily help when you're trying to get a cohesiveness about the team and trying to gel things together. But Slot believes they will be 100% ready for the start of the season, and 100% ready to start the defence of their Premier League title in what could potentially be an even bigger challenge than last season.
The reason why that is so difficult lays mainly in the fact that there are so many competitors that can also win the league over here. So to win it once is already very special, let alone if you can win it twice in 3, 4, 5 years, or as we did twice in 5 years, and City did even better than us in the last few years. So that's unbelievable if you're able to do this in this league. And probably this year it's going to be harder than every year before, because every team brings in new players, but our main competitors definitely did as well.
Just to emphasise how difficult it is to win back-to-back titles as well. Aside from Manchester City, the last team to do so was Manchester United back in 2008 and then in 2009. So Liverpool's attempts to make history gets underway in the Friday Night Football, and it is, of course, live on Sky Sports.
Oh, it is, and I cannot wait. Cheers, Vinny. Let's get to Bournemouth, where it's been a summer of change. Richard Newman joins us live from the club's training ground now. Hello there, Richard. Let's start off with what potentially could happen over the next couple of weeks at Bournemouth, because Anthony Iraola's got pretty much a new backline to work with. But do we think Bournemouth are not done there in terms of looking to bring in a few more players?
Yeah, that's the big question. I guess we'll be asking Andoni Iraola that in the next hour or two. I guess if you're a Bournemouth fan taking an optimistic point of view, you could say there's been plenty of time to plan for this, and those plans may still be playing out, because Dean Huyson and Milos Kerkez left early in the transfer window, and then Ilya Zabanye's move to Paris Saint-Germain, although it's only just been completed, that is a rumour that's been around for quite some time. It's a saga that's only just been resolved. And it's not just the back line that has been changed. It's the whole defensive unit. I mean, Kepa was in goal last season on loan from Chelsea. Now he's at Arsenal. Bournemouth have had to go back to Chelsea, and they signed Georgi Petrovic as their new number one. So plenty of change. And if you look at who's come in, Adrien Truffert from Rennes early in the season, he's basically a direct replacement for Kerkez. He's been bedded in for a little bit of a while now. Then this week, Bafodé Diakité coming in from Lille, another addition from Ligue 1 in France. And the question there is whether you throw him straight into the starting lineup against the Premier League champions Liverpool on Sky Sports in your first game. In pre-season, Zabanye was quite heavily involved, but the mainstay at centre-back was Marcos Senesi, and he was either partnering Zabanye or James Hill, who was at the back against Real Sociedad in their final friendly at the weekend. So maybe more needed. And then on top of that, there's lots of speculation about Dango Ouattara, and Brentford apparently after him. So we'll try and get an update on that later on as well. But the major positives for Bournemouth is that Andoni Iraola has stayed here. He's done a terrific job at this club since coming in. He's about to start his third straight season. Not many months ago now that we were talking about him potentially being a contender to take over at Tottenham Hotspur. And then on top of that, Antoine Semenyo, who's heavily linked with other clubs too, signing a new contract. And that just sends a great message, doesn't it, to prospective signings when they're trying to attract players here to this club. It's a terrific new training facility behind me. That's only been open for a matter of months. There are big plans for the stadium as well. Iraola always has a strategy in place, and the way that they do their transfers here as well is very much admired. So maybe there will be activity in the final few weeks of the window, and we'll try and get an update from Andoni Iraola about that in the next hour or so.